Hello, white people. Came across an article the other day, talked about cancer treatments and nanobots or nanotechnology. I guess they were nanobots, are injected into tumor cells, and then a magnet was brought into close proximity, and the nanobots would heat up. The magnet would make the nanobots heat up, and it would kill the tumor. So the article I read didn't talk about what sort of magnet. It didn't talk about how hot these nanobots got, but it did mention that the nanobots don't know the difference between a tumor cell and healthy cells. So that can be an issue right there. And then it got me into thinking about, that G, not the 3G, not the 4G, but the next G. And an article that I'd read about law enforcement being able to end people by the push of a button. So anyway, what we know about the G, we know that it has a really short range. We know that it needs to have lots of boxes in close proximity to each other. It emits higher radiation than my cell phone right here does. My cell phone is 4G, and I believe I read that it emits 2.5 megahertz. My microwave emits 2.5 megahertz. And, I keep reading, and there seems to be nothing that I can find. I'm sure the studies are out there, but they keep saying these invisible days keep saying, or I keep reading that nobody knows anything about how the G, the fifth one, will affect people. And they're like, yeah, that's baloney, phony baloney. And then I did an article. I talked about we're being exposed to radiation. Well, yeah, we're being exposed to radiation, but if we're being exposed to higher radiation than 2.5, it's going to disrupt our electronics, because all of our electronics are set on tolerating radiation levels about 2.5 megahertz, I believe. Some of them are, some of them aren't. So if you come into proximity of something that's disrupting your cell phone or your radio or your Wi-Fi connection, the speakers that you can Bluetooth to, anything that's disrupting that, you're very likely being exposed to a higher level of radiation than this equipment can tolerate. So then, we're going to have the G, or the fifth one, the G, and will the police be able to end wrong thinkers with just a push of the button? Because they're not going to actually end real criminals, because real criminals are a distraction, and they keep normal people stressed out. And then, normal people, their hands are tied, because if they fight back against the tyranny, then they're going to be lone wolves, and then they're going to get arrested or whatever. We're all felons, just one arrest away from being officially a felon, because just about everything we do right now is illegal, especially those of us who are white, and men, especially men more than women. So we're just one step away. It's just such a fine line. We were convinced to give up our freedoms, and through fear and gluttony and lust, but something, unless somebody sits you down and teaches you what lust and gluttony looks like and how to resist it, you're really not going to even notice it, especially if it's gradual, because the devil, comes in the form of everything that you love. And if you have never been taught to be patient and have some self-censorship, you won't know. For patience, because that's something, as a mom, I had to teach my son, was to be patient with his emotions, to have some self-control, because young people, when they're little, they don't understand that they don't understand how their emotions work, and they don't know how to deal with disappointment. So they're going to freak out when they become disappointed. And that's why you see a lot of young people these days, millennials, Zoomers, having tantrums, big kid tantrums, because nobody ever sat them down and taught them how to manage their emotions, how to manage disappointment, frustration, fear. And that's a big deal. If you don't know how to deal with those emotions, then you're going to be easily manipulated, because what you're going to do is you're going to move away from pain. Everybody moves away from pain. But people who have been taught how to, to evaluate their emotions, they're going to understand that sometimes you have to be in pain to get to your goal, if that makes any sense. But anyway, back to this nanotechnology. That's kind of exciting, to be able to inject, these little nanobots into a tumor cell and heat up. But we don't know how hot. We don't know how long the tumors will stay hot for. We don't know if, what sort of effects these nanobots will have on healthy tissue. I believe there's brain damage when the body hits 106 degrees. So there's no coming back after the body reaches 106 degrees. All right, white people, if you're interested in this picture here, this is a picture of my puppy dog chasing a bunny rabbit. And there was a whole bunch of bunny rabbits on the property. And unfortunately, a hawk came in and swooped in and took 3 of them out. That's so disappointing. The bunny rabbits are so cute. I think these are cottontails. They're wild bunnies, and they have these big giant white tails. They're so cute. And my puppy dog, whenever he comes across a fresh bunny rabbit trail, he starts bouncing around like a rabbit. It's just hilarious. And he can run faster than the rabbits. That's probably why the hawks so easily picked him up. But he doesn't. He'll stand there and he'll wait until they run. And when we had babies, I didn't touch the babies when they were in their little nest, though I just so desperately wanted to stick my hand in there and scoop one out and hold it. Because, that's what moms like to do, just pick up the babies. So I didn't do it. The only time I ever picked up one of the bunnies, the baby bunnies, was when my dog flushed it out of the grass where it was hiding. And it ran over to some blueberry bushes, and it really wasn't a very good hiding spot for it. But these bunnies are so freaking cute when they're itty bitty. They know that they can't outrun you, so what they do is they get real flat into the ground. And so you can't really see them. I was worried that I was going to step on one, but my dog can find them. My dog would just sniff at them and walk away. And I was afraid that the bunny I was carrying, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to give this little thing a heart attack? But my dog wouldn't leave it alone. So I took him and I put him in the grass, and in the high grass, and I went back and checked like an hour or 2 later, and he was still there. So I picked him up again and moved him somewhere where I'd seen Mama Bunny. Anyway, I'm just so sad that the hawks came and got my bunnies. The bunnies don't eat anything in my garden. They're not eating crops or anything, so they can stay. But if they were eating the crops, then that would be a completely different story. I wouldn't like them or want them around. And we didn't have any hawks on the property. Usually we have hawks that nest in the trees, and I hadn't seen any bunnies since early spring last year, so I thought all the bunnies were gone. But I guess the bunnies, they reproduce pretty quickly. All right, white people, that's the damage for now.